Hey everybody, Adam Savage in the Object Conservation Department at the Metropolitan Museum with Warren. Hello, sir.
Hey.
How are you?
Good to see you.
We're here to talk about this object and your particular philosophy of painting stuff out. But first, before we even get there, what is this beautiful object?
This is a vanity box from 18th century Qajar, Iran, during the Qajar period. And it's just at the beginning of the period. So it's actually signed and dated from 1789. And Muhammad Bakr. So,
and am I right that this panel fits into where the mirror is?
It does, and actually the front and back are both decorated.
Oh my God.
Water-based paints and then oil lacquer over. And you know, when it came time to figure out how to display it, it's just a box. So we've chosen to do it the most dynamic way possible, almost like an exploding skull or something, having every aspect
showing the
revealed.
Drawer that's inside.
Yeah, and the mirror is utilized to show the front and back. This is for scissors, tweezers, combs, and it's paper mache and pasteboard. Yeah, so it's in pretty good shape, I guess.
It seems to be in insanely good shape. For paper mache, it must weigh almost nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can see it's. I guess there's some weight because there's some heavy parts. None of the pieces were kept, but there's other pieces similar around the world that have been found with very similar indentations so that they know what fit in them. That's how they figured it out.
You say it's signed and dated. Do you know any other creations by this artist?
I don't, but I'm not an art historian, of course. Yeah. I have an art school background, but we're sort of surrounded by an academic environment, so
talk me through the process of designing a mount like this. You work with the curator to decide on how much dynamism to bring to the object.
Yeah, curator and a designer. And they will, with the designer, will usually figure out the amount of inches, exact angle. You can see they're fairly parallel. Yeah, and then our job is to sort of disguise the mount and let it fade. And hopefully people only notice these front little tabs, if at all. But if they happen to look into the mirror, instead of seeing a giant brass strap interrupt the border of the decorative painting, they can hopefully don't focus too much time on the mount, but just see that it's not interrupting their experience.
Warren, that's insane.
Thank you, sir.
This is You've replicated this floral pattern exactly, and it's almost giving a lensing effect.
You know, it's more for those who are really looking into the mirror, that we didn't want to have a blind side that wasn't seen. So on the back, this is more or less facing the wall, but you can see there's another border here.
Right, yep.
And then for those who crane their necks around to the side of the case, they can sort of see this.
Flowers here.
Yeah, but I didn't bother with the decoration around the border as it's already against the wall, so it's sort of extra credit. It's very lit from above. You know, this is all in shadow. So it's more about matching the finish as well.
Well, and I'm curious, all right, so you have come up with the plan for how to display these. You have built the mount roughly. At that point, do you know exactly what you are and aren't going to paint? Or is that an organic process when you work with the object?
In this scenario, it was very organic because you started to make a phone call. How visible is this? Is it in the round? You know, because you really don't, in our job, we don't have a lot of time, despite how it may look. We don't have much time to do it. And oftentimes the level of painting is something we can replicate.
Yeah.
I don't want to suggest, some of this is intended very skilled, but others is a little less so. So we don't have to spend too much time replicating it. But yeah, we don't, time is a factor. So it's nice to see what you don't need to do maybe.
And does the mount then become part of the provenance of the artwork? Is it going to stay with it for the rest of its
I like to
life?
think it does. You know, when things go on loan to the Met and we make a nice mount for them, they're welcome to take that mount back with them.
But sometimes they don't?
Sometimes they don't.
Oh.
And I do wonder how many of our mounts still live with their pieces, I guess, But I don't think it's increased the value of anything yet.
And you're also painting these with archival paints. You're making sure that
the
objects you're making can conserve.
Right. Yeah, it's all conservation approved. It's not my field, but I adhere to the rules. So
yes.
Yeah.
it looks to me, to be honest, like you had a lot of fun on this one.
Definitely did.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was fun.
Am I right that to paint all the back of this just sat flat on your desk with a picture of the borders, or do you have the real thing? In
I have the real thing and I hold it up, and for this finish I definitely did like an orange haze with sort of a transparent paint over, because it seemed like that would replicate the process of how it was arrived at as well.
And it was an orange haze.
Or brown.
Yeah.
But it was, it was that yellowing of the lacquer that I was matching that was once gold.
I really like those Stumac slightly yellow lacquers that they sell. I use them all the time on my stuff. Among the parts of this mount specifically, what gave you the most trouble?
I guess painting the border. I mean, because the viewer is always moving. So if you're looking at a reflection, things move. The three-dimensionality of the mount away from the piece is something to consider when you're painting out.
So you're doing a lot of like changing its orientation to you and seeing how what your eye stops on.
Exactly. It's not exactly from the back, but how you will see it from your craned head. What that angle would be. Not from an angle that no one will ever see it at.
I'm so delighted to talk about this because there's so much artistry in this that people aren't necessarily realizing. The intricacy of your painting here, I look at it and I feel like you must have finished each day being like, that was really fun.
And the reality is it's only a couple, it's a couple, 2 or 3 days.
Just
maybe,
2 or 3 days.
Yeah, which is a longer mount than some. Too. Yeah, so
that's like commercial effects work. Those are tight timelines.
We often have to move quickly.
Does the department have? Does each of you in the department have like different specialties that like, if there's this kind of problem to solve, we give that to so and so?
Yeah, we all have very competent skill levels, but someone might favor one thing, so we know that person would really enjoy pinning this jewelry or painting out this mount.
And I would hope that like if they really want it, you want them to do it because they're gonna.
Yes, and especially Matthew and Fred seem to love challenges.
Nice.
So that's nice for those of us who maybe aren't up for the task sometimes. So Matthew will often say, "Do you mind if I do this really hard mount?" And I'm always very pleased that he's offering.
I love that kind of horse trading.
Yes.
Maureen, this is just such beautiful work. I'm really gobsmacked. And like so much of it's like down here, it's like I can't imagine resolving it, but it also really still feels like I'm looking right through this thing.
Right, hopefully so. Thanks.
Incredible.
Thank you.